Great. Okay, and now we are live on Facebook and YouTube, and live on Instagram.
Hi, everybody. Really nice that you're here today. I'm loving sharing the joy of stenciling with you. I'm Claire Cooley. You can see my live streams about all sorts of creativity. This series now is going to be about stenciling and its many practical applications. But you can see any of my live streams. If you can't be here at 2 on Saturday for when it's live, they're recorded on Claire Cooley on my Facebook profile or on my YouTube channel, The Creativity Show. You can watch them anytime you like and see all of them there. So please tell your friends. And like I said, we're going to do stenciling. So let me start by talking about some of the ways I've used stencils to make a banner, to make art that I hang on the wall, to do wall friezes. We showed some of those things last time. We'll be showing more each time. Examples of stenciling, clothing. There's this banner I made to look at some of the stencils I created from the Warbler series. So first let's look at the Warbler art. I did these 26 regional wildflowers and warblers, and then I take the original art that I've done and I make it into stencil appropriate art, which is obviously different than the full art, and we'll learn as we go what makes it work for a stencil. Are continuous lines that don't either cross over each other, they have to be separate, and some spaces you want to fill in, so those lines will be a shape that comes out and the stencil will fill in, and we'll show you how that works. So after the tracing, then the stencil is made, and we'll show you some video of stenciling I've actually
Turn tilt it a bit more to the screen.
I'm afraid it'll fall off, but no, that's what
I'll pick that one up.
that's what I thought might happen. But here we go.
That's great.
Okay, so this that I'm wearing, this dragonfly that I put on this kimono, and under it are some dragonflies that I put on this favorite skating culotte outfit that I love exercising in so much that I painted when we turned our garage, our 100-year-old carriage house into a studio out there. I painted in this and I got white paint on it. So we're going to show you a little video of how, and then I gave myself permission to do the dragonflies on it to cover up the white paint mistake. So I started stenciling. Actually, the first stencil project I did was 48 different languages a piece that I cut with a hot knife. Well, no, before that I did feathers that I cut with a razor blade. Then the 48 languages a piece, I got myself a hot knife, made that much quicker than a razor blade. And then I realized when I'm doing the 26 warblers and wildflowers and the 12 different cranes and I think 34 different botanicals and 7 different pollinators, I bought a stencil cutting machine. So Bodhi takes my art, once I turn my art into a stencil appropriate tracing, and then he puts it, scans it, goes into the computer, and then the Cricut stencil cutting machine cuts the stencils. So my over 100 different stencil designs that I am going to share in a coloring book for all ages and stencil designs for anybody, any purpose at some point in the not too far off future. So many projects, and time is a resource we have to manage carefully. So I'll get to that, I promise. I'll get to everything if I live long enough. So let us share. You saw the original art, you saw the stencil tracings, you saw the stencils cut, and here's an example. Did we see that? This banner that I made that actually hangs in my cellar in my framing room, I just wanted to see what some of my stencils looked like, so I made this banner that hangs over a funky wall down there, making even workspaces lovely is something I'd like to do. So there's that.
Let's show them the warblers real quick now that I'm getting in close. These are originals, by the way.
Yes, they are. All colored pencil. And I love, especially at this point in winter when we'd all like spring to be here. Well, I'm assuming we all would. Maybe some of us don't, but I'm ready for spring, but it's not ready for me. So I'm filling my life with birds and flowers inside, so it's at least spring inside.
Should we get a close up on these now that I'm over here?
Sure. So here's the tracings that come from the original art drawing. So reducing, simplifying, and making sure the lines will work for stencils, which is all about not having lines cross over each other, so that when you cut the stencils, whether it's yourself with the razor blade, hot knife, or the stencil cutter, it works as a stencil. And so that's a little bit of a learning curve, but very doable. And each week live stream, I'm going to show different subject matter. So next week, it could be cranes or botanicals or the pollinators. We'll see when we get there. I like to, keep it an adventure for me, so I don't make any more decisions beforehand than I have to decide what art to do, what art to share, what techniques to share. Is all gets to be an adventure for me too. I'm doing these stencil how-tos and what you can use them for, partly because I got the grant to do the live reads from my memoir. I actually got another grant to do more live reads from my memoir, but I have a long time period I get to do that within. So I thought, give myself a visual break, a refresher, rejuvenating visual project. The stories are my real life stories, and as any of you who've been at the live reads or seen them recorded or know my story or have met me, a lot of you know that I've been through some stuff that many people are, impressed that I got through, but creative reverie, finding a safe and serene place in creative expression, figuring a way that is a respectful way to express all emotions and stimulate my immune system is how I've transformed my adversity into advantage, adversity into art. And that's what I really want to share with people. We all have challenges, we all have difficulties, nobody doesn't. And so how we keep going, how we return to positivity is what I most want to share. And that is what the art is all about. So the book, Incandescence, Rising Above Darkness, is 52 short stories and 68 pieces of art in between all the stories, and 40 photographs at the end of my multimedia life as an artist that comes very naturally for me to experiment and keep growing and keep challenging myself to learn new things and express my imagination in new ways. So let's go to one of the stencil outfits that I made this week being made. Yeah, Bodhi's going to show that, and let's go for that. Here we go. And as you can see, the stencils are carefully put on to the clothing or surface you're wanting to put the stencil on, and what's most important is to hold it very still, not to move it back and forth and smear the paint until you're ready to peel up the stencil. So next week I'll show that beautiful white dress that a dear friend left for me that I turned into orchids and warblers on it. And there's going to be another stencil that shows some more warblers. You ready for that, Bodhi?
I am, if you are.
Sure. So this is another use for the warbler stencils, warblers and wildflowers. This is a top. I'm going to show you when it's done. So it's a really sweet process because it can happen very fast. And I first started doing it covering stains on things, and then to just make something very plain and simple a little prettier by using stencils on it, by expressing my aesthetic and my love of nature, by putting the warblers and wildflowers on these simple little tops, making them into something unique, one of a kind. I've also done, as I've said, walls, vases, furniture, standing screens, tables, platters, scarves, and those, there is a video that we shared a couple Saturdays ago, or was it just last Saturday, that had a lot of examples, pillows and duvet covers, and so many different ways you can use stencils. So here's a couple other stenciled simple little tops here's maple leaves, and here's orchids. So they're very simple, but now they're one of a kind, and they express my aesthetic. And I think that, the more we express and share our style, our taste with the world, the richer the world is, the more we share our personal aesthetic, the more people get to know who we really are, what's important to us. It attracts the people that can appreciate who we are when we share who we are. The more diversity in any environment, the healthier the environment. So I'm very encouraging for people to share their aesthetic. And I happen to really love classic design because it never goes out of style. It may never be the hot new thing, but that's okay. I prefer having my artistic creations endure than be a flash and what's hot and contemporary now for 5 minutes. I'd rather what I do last. The test of time is a beautiful thing. You want to show the maple leaves and the orchid coming?
Sure. I'll start pulling that up. So
he's going to show you that. While he's showing you that, it just shows you a little bit of the simple technique. It's just hold the stencil still when you use the stencil brush. Don't move the stencil sideways until you're ready to pull it up, and then you do that carefully. I wear the gloves to not get any oils from my hands and onto the surface, and there's the maple leaves happening. And it's such a small, easy little ornament for clothing that makes such a big difference. It can just take something that's completely ordinary and make it unique and an expression of what you care for. You can do it on t-shirts, you can do it on napkins, you can do it on so many hats. There's pretty much no limit. And these metallic paints I use are washable, so I have things that back when I did the very first stencils of leaves, I did a kimono that not a kimono, a sarong that I've had for many years, and I hung actually in a spot in the house because it was a big sarong size scarf in the sunlight, so it faded. So I'm actually going to re-stencil it, adding color back to it. But I've washed it many times, and it has lasted for many years. So these are washable. They will, in time, especially if you hang them as I did in the sun, the sun will fade almost anything. So you want to be careful with them, but they can be washed and, handled carefully and last for a really long time. So let's see the stencil of, we saw the maple leaf and the orchids. So I'm going to show you some templates for what I'm going to do next, which is, I have this inspiration. You saw the dragonfly kimono, which is going to turn into a representation of summer with grasses, which you saw some examples of at the bottom of that banner. So I'm going to do the 4 seasons. Winter is going to be silver, blue, and cranes. Spring is going to be bronze, green, and salmon and irises. Summer's going to be gold, dragonflies, and grasses. And autumn is going to be maple leaves, copper, red. So it'll be blue, green, yellow, red, silver, bronze, gold, copper, and the cranes, the salmon, the dragonflies. And for autumn, it's going to be a deer, and I'm going to draw that and then do the tracing stencil and cut the stencil all in front of you so you can see the whole process from designing the art through making it into a stencil and putting it on whatever surface you want. But it's good for me. It's going to be 4 kimonos for the 4 seasons. This project I'm calling Essence of Everything. And I'm going to, after I do the 4 kimonos for the 4 seasons, I'm going to do spoken word poetry for the 4 seasons. Then I'm going to add flute and percussion to the spoken word. And the last movement of this performance piece will be dance, which I intend to do on skates. And so it will be videoed, so it will be visual, sound, costume, set, spoken word, music, dance. So pretty much a representation of all of the art forms, which is just a fun challenge. I like to keep challenging myself to do and try and explore new things. I don't have to be the best at anything other than being me to feel good. I don't really compete with anyone but myself, so I'm not trying to be better than anyone else at anything. And the only thing I can be the best at is being me. So it's very freeing to have the attitude I have of that I get to explore my creativity, express my imagination for the joy of it. And that's what I want to share with you. So that's what these live streams are all about, is the joy of creativity for healing, life enhancing, walking lightly on the earth, create instead of just consume, enjoy your own imagination, an economical and ecological way to be. So that's what it's all about. And thanks for being here. I really appreciate you tuning in, and I hope you enjoyed it, and you'll come back next Saturday at 2 when I'll do some more stenciling in front of the camera and share some more stencil ideas. We'll do this for a while. Those of you who have seen videos of the tour of the house or my art, which encompasses, dishes, glass, framing designs, fine art, so many different things, and you have something you'd really like me to share and talk about, please let me know. I love to get your feedback, and I love to share what people are interested in. So there you go. And once again, my YouTube channel is The Creativity Show. I'm Claire Cooley, Claire without an I, the Irish spelling, and I can be found pretty easily on the internet, thanks to my son putting me out there. And my book is Incandescence, Rising Above Darkness, and he made a web store,
ClareCooley.com/shop.
ClareCooley.com/shop, and incandescencebook.com is where you can get the ebook or the color version of the print book or black and white version.
They can also scan the QR code right here to get the book.
Okay.
And if you'd like to support these live streams and our work, you can scan this QR code as well.
Thank you so much. And I will be going back, as I've got another grant, as I mentioned, to do more live reads from my memoir. And I will be going back to that at some point, but I'm enjoying this refresher from the stories to create some beautiful and functional art. And I hope you enjoy it, and I hope it inspires you to enjoy your creativity. The joy of our imagination is always something we have access to. Whatever we have to work with, we can express our imaginations, explore creativity, and share it with the world that is better for it. So, thanks so much. See you next week. Whoop. I'm dropping my kimonos.
Alrighty, thanks everybody. We're gonna end the stream.
Bye-bye.